Okay, we are good to go.
Oh.
טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון. עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי עיון בכינור, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון. How good it is to be together on this Shabbat and Passover. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד.
We're going to continue in a moment with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem refers to our mystical tradition that angels come to visit us during the time of Shabbat. We welcome them, we ask them for blessing, and then we say our farewell.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malchei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malchei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליוני, מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליוני, מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלכי השלום, מלאכי עליוני, מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליוני, מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליוני, מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם שלום, מלכי השלום, מלאכי עליוני, מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
For the honor of leading us in our Shabbat candle lighting and Kiddush, I would ask Ellen Petracco to please unmute.
Shabbat Shalom. Another week of work is ended. Again, Shabbat brings welcome peace. We pause from our labors to let Shabbat give another dimension to our lives. These Shabbat candles are symbols of the holiness we seek. Their brightness dispels gloom and lights a path to faith and hope. Their glow reminds us of the sacred bonds that link us to our people over space and time. Their radiance summons us to fulfill our people's mission, to cast the light of freedom, justice, and peace upon all the world. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
The seventh day is consecrated to eternal our God. With wine, our symbol of joy, we celebrate this day and its holiness. We give thanks for all our blessings, for life and health, for work and rest, for home and love and friendship. On Shabbat, eternal sign of creation, we remember that we are created in the divine image. We therefore raise our cup in thanksgiving.
Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uv'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh bereshit, ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uv'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
So as so many of us joined around Seder tables earlier in Passover, a little nod to some of the music that we got to sing back then. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad yishmi'anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'litila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nalcha ki hi mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Hit'oreri ki va'orech kumi ori uri shir daberi kevod Adonai alayich nigla lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Boi v'shalom aterepala gam b'simcha uv'tzohola tochamune am segula boi chala lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Don't worry, 13 months until you have to hear that tune again. It's a leap year next year.
Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, unripened fruit so fair, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Together, teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. Please rise in body or spirit for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship.
Yai da 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 yai da da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 da. Yai 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 da da. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Hamevorach leolam vaed. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shiftecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי, אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Ashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Ashkivenu, Leshalom. Ve'ha'amidenu, Shomreinu lechayim, Ufros aleinu, Sukat shlomecha, Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Hashkivenu Leshalom Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Hashkivenu Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם, ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ברית עולם. We invite Sarah Safriel, who will soon be joining us on our Bima, to lead us in prayer, to join us this evening to lead us in preparation and in almost celebration of her bat mitzvah.
Prayer invites God's presence to fuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. Please rise in body or spirit.
Go ahead and unmute, Sarah.
Adonai, Sefatay Tivta Yufia Gita Hilateha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Velote Avotenu Ve'imotenu, Elohe Abraham, Elohe Yitzhak, Velohe Yaakov, Elohe Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, Belohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanurah, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, Bekonei Hakol, Bezoher Hasdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi'ula livnei v'neihem, Lema'an shemo be'ahava, Mele Ozer Umashia Umagen, Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Ata Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mehaye Hakol, Ata Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mehayel Haim Behesed, Mehaye Hakol Berahamim Mapim, Zome Noflim Verofe Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umahayem Emunato, Lishanei Afar, Mihamo Habal Givurot, Umitomela, Melech Memit, Umheye, Umatmi Yeshua, Bene'eman Ata, Laha'eyot Hakol, Baruch Ata Adonai, Me'eha Hakol.
Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, ukdoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha Selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Yasher koach, as we turn our minds to modim, to gratitude. I'm so grateful to get to work with our young people and get to bring them to the joy and the honor of leading our community in prayer. Whoa,
Whoa.
whoa, right here, right now. Whoa, whoa, right here, right now. Modim anachnu lach, modim anachnu lach, modim anachnu lach, modim anachnu. I will give thanks for my tribe, traditions galore, the Seder and Matzah, the questions were for. Modim anachnu lach, modim anachnu lach, modim anachnu lach, modim anachnu. I will give thanks I am free, a slave nevermore, crossed on dry land and danced on the shore. Modim anachnu lach, modim anachnu lach, modim anachnu lach, modim anachnu lach. Whoa, whoa, right here, right now. Whoa, whoa, right here, right now. tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim le'olam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael. B'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. We take a few moments to find that place of peace, those words of peace, a little time of peace. לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי בגואלי. אדוני צורי בגואלי. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock, and my redeemer. יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי בגואלי. אדוני צורי בגואלי.
Our thoughts now turn to our loved ones, members of our community who are in need of healing. Whether they are in need of physical, mental, or spiritual healing, we take them into our hearts this time of prayer. If you'd like to mention the name of a loved one, someone you are thinking of who is in need of healing, please enter their name in the chat box as we continue with our prayer for healing, Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
We are thinking of and wishing a refuah shlema to Randy Arneger, Evan Bin, Joe Brickman, Joel Broida, Laura Carlos, John Conway, Mark Edelstein, Benjamin Edelstein, Brian Edelstein, Danielle Heyman Feist, Linda Fine, Eric Fisk, Iris Fisk, Robert Gold, Buddy Green, Vicky Hano, Clay Ispitz, Louis Ispitz, Lori Cattleman, Jerry Klein and Bonnie Brzezowski, Judy Klein, Hank Corin, Wendy Sugarman Krosnoff, Stephen Levine, Dr. Sonia Link, Elsa Mikosh, John Parsonson, Bob Pizzuti, Ruth Poehler, Victoria Richards, Jane Rifkin, Jess Rifkin, Don Rolander, Rhoda Ross, Liesl Schick, Bob Seiler, Cal Simon, Dr. Cindy Steinman, Pete Tanner, and David and Elaine Wolstein.
Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and Chag Sameach, happy Passover. Hope we're all having a meaningful and joyous holiday. Since we're still in the Passover spirit right now, I thought it would be fun to take a look at some of our ritual items, some of our Passover symbols. Think about for a moment what we usually consider their meaning in our Passover Seder, and maybe look at a couple fun, interesting ideas that rabbis have had to redefine or reimagine these symbols. And so, our reimagined Passover symbols. First, we have the karpas, that green vegetable. In the chat box, in the chat window, can someone please tell me what is the symbolism, what is the importance of karpas, our green vegetable during Passover? Can someone let me know why? What's going on with this parsley? Why is it important? Spring, so we have a sign of springtime. Very nice. Anything else? Bitterness that the Jews have endured. That's a little bit more maror, but certainly it has a little bit of that taste, right? A little bit of bitterness, especially when we talk about dipping it, right? So we dip it into the salt water to symbolize, we're sad, we're crying those tears, those bitter, salty tears of slavery, right? And so that's what we have for the karpas. That's our usual explanation. But we have another one, why karpas is important. And so this is a commentary by a 17th century Polish rabbi, Naftali Seva Ratzon, who begins with a question here. Why is it necessary to tell us that one must make a blessing on the karpas, the parsley, borei pri ha'adama, since Of course, we are obligated to make a blessing on any food we consume, right? Whenever we eat something, we need a blessing. And so why do we have a special blessing here that has to tell us that we have to have this blessing? The reason for it is based on a Jewish law, a principle of Jewish law. Anything that would normally be improved through cooking, we say, we praise God who creates everything, in the world through God's word, right? So that's why, and so we would say that normally over parsley because it's uncooked. Because if you have a nice dinner somewhere, right, and they put a piece of parsley sprig on the side of the plate, it usually gets left there. I mean, let's be real. No one's grabbing the parsley garnish on a normal dinner to eat it, right? You sort of leave it there. But you drop the parsley in some chicken soup stock, you got something going there. You can use parsley to spice up many different kinds of foods. And that's how we usually consume parsley. We don't normally eat parsley raw. And so based on this idea that we're saying this blessing over this parsley, which could be considered now the wrong blessing, why do we say Borei Priya Adama, the one who creates the fruit of the earth? Why do we say that? So he answers his own question, as all rabbis do. We answer our own question. So there is a great lesson to be learned from the fact that we say this blessing, though we eat it raw. It has a different meaning. This is an allusion to a midrash. When the Israelite women back in the time of slavery gave birth in the fields and the Egyptian soldiers would come to kill the children, the ground, the Adamah, the ground, would swallow up the infants to hide them, to protect them. The Egyptians would then bring oxen to plow up the ground in order to find them. Wouldn't work, right? After they left, these infants, these babies would then shoot through, they would break through the ground and sprout it up like weeds. As it says in the book of Ezekiel, I caused you to multiply like the plants of the fields. So in order to remember the great miracle of the parsley babies, the babies who were sprouting up from the ground like weeds, like parsley. We eat these greens, we eat this parsley to remember that miracle. And we recite the blessing, Borei Priya Adama, who brings forth, who creates the fruit of the earth, even though it is not necessary to recite this blessing under these circumstances. So the actual parsley is reminding us of this miracle of how the earth, the Adamah, hid the babies from the Egyptians, and then they would burst through the soil, they would burst through, and they were literally the fruits that are coming through were the actual babies themselves. And so that's why we have the parsley, not about springtime, not about tears we cried, but about this great miracle. Wonder of wonder, miracles of miracles, to quote Mottle Taylor. So that is parsley. Now we have charoset. Why do we eat charoset during the Passover Seder? What's our traditional explanation for charoset? Can someone please add that to the chat box? Our traditional explanation. You can also add whether you like a traditional Ashkenazi charoset, with the apples and the nuts, or something a little bit more fancy, and Sephardic, maybe using some figs, some dates, some other things. Bricks, yes. And so traditionally speaking, it is bricks, it is mortar, the clay used to make the bricks. That's why we have the charoset. But you'll note in the Passover Seder, do we say a blessing over charoset? No, there is no blessing over charoset. There is nothing we say beforehand. We just eat it. It's yummy. It's on our Seder plate. It's delicious. Who can resist a little charoset? So to add a little sweetness to our meal. Yes, I see another note for that Sephardic charoset, one of my favorites. So we don't have a blessing for it. So there was some disagreement about this, as one can imagine. The rabbis like to argue a little bit with each other. And so there was a Mishnah. There was some commentary that states that Rabbi Elazar, son of Rabbi Tzadok, says that eating charoset is indeed a mitzvah and therefore should have a blessing. And Gemara, the commentary on the Mishnah, then responds, what's the mitzvah of eating charoset? And so the commentary answers, it's to remember the apple, as the apple, of course, is one of the ingredients in charoset. Remember the apple? Why are we remembering the apple? Are we going to forget? There are lots of varieties of apples. Why are we remembering the apple? Well,
Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve. Thank you, Bob. Adam and Eve comes in. Why we're remembering the apple. So the Talmud tells us when the Israelite women went to draw water, God would bring them small fish, and they would draw out half water and half fish. And then they would draw two pitchers, one of hot water and one of more fish, and bring it to their husbands in the field. The husbands are there working really hard, making said bricks, building those pyramids, getting hot and schwitzy, and you're hungry and you're unpleasant. So you need a little refreshment, a little water, a little gefilte fish, maybe a little cod, whatever they got, some grouper. They're going to have a little snack, a little bissel or something. Makes you have some more energy, right? You need some energy, you need some strength, not only for work, but as we learn in the second half of this paragraph, when they became pregnant, the Israelite women, they would come to their houses, in terms of the fish, the idea that they would be fed there. And when it was time to give birth, they would go and give birth where? Not at home, right? Because home would be dangerous. So they would give birth under the apple tree. As it states in Shir HaShirim, under the apple tree, I awakened you. The idea being here, before we had a miracle, right, about the babies being hidden by the Adamah, the earth. Here we have a different kind of miracle, the miracle of life, right? The miracle of life keeps going. The Israelites kept on having babies. They kept on procreating. And it was for their own existence. They have to keep on going, right? And so this idea that they had so much perseverance, even though they were enslaved, even though they were oppressed, even though they were beaten down, they had to find a way to go on. And what better way to think about that than saying we need a next generation? If you have no hope, there's no need for a next generation, right? But if you have hope for the future, or if you're more optimistic about things to come, right, then it makes sense to bring children into the world. And so the idea here is that we remember the perseverance, and one can even say the miraculous perseverance of the Israelites during the time of slavery. And that's why we have charoset, to represent the apple trees under which the Israelite women gave birth. Last but not least, we have lots of matzah. We went through about 7 pounds of it so far in our house. My kids are big matzah eaters. Why? Why do we have matzah? This is a low-hanging fruit, no pun intended. Why do we have matzah during Passover? We can enter that into the chat box. What's the symbolism of matzah?
We left Egypt and we didn't have time to. They didn't have time to put yeast in there so that it would rise. So we made it matzah.
That's right. So they didn't have time to let the dough rise, right? No time to let the bread rise. That's what we learned. They carry it on their back, so to speak, and it sort of doesn't cook, and it becomes these sort of flat wafers that are very tasty, of course, during Passover. You have to love the flavor, that flavor of nothing, basically, that matzah has. But it's good with egg salad, and it's good with tuna, and it's good with brisket, amongst many other things, I'm sure. We've been experimenting with matzah grilled cheese here. Very popular with the kids. So matzah.
Hey, Rabbi, do you know that this is the square one is typical United States? We had round matzahs.
Oh, I got them both in the house, Bob. Believe me. I got them both in the house. I got a little circle.
Always had round matzahs.
Yeah, all the matzahs you want, I got. When they make triangle matzah, I'll have that one too. But right now, we got the square and the circle. So matzah, again, the idea that they left Egypt in a hurry, the bread couldn't rise. But of course, we have another idea as well. There is a midrash. This is from Marbel Saper, Yedidia Tia Weil, 18th century, 17th century rabbi. 18th century rabbi. The midrash teaches that it is through the merit of giving tzedakah that our ancestors were redeemed from Egypt. So they were redeemed because they were charitable, right? Because they believed in righteous giving. They would feed the hungry at their tables, and from them we can learn how to act. So even while they were enslaved, even when they had nothing, they still found a way to be charitable. They still found ways to do the right thing financially. And we can learn, God knows, we can learn a lot from how to act from them. Just as they fed the needy, so should we feed the needy. And so in this Talmudic piece, we learn tzedakah is great, for it brings redemption closer. That's all fine and dandy. But what does that have to do with matzah? So well, the first lesson we learn in the Haggadah are the words, this is the bread of affliction, right? So we hold up the matzah. This is the bread of affliction. And the redemption was there because of this bread of the needy, which our ancestors fed them in Egypt. So they would give their matzah to other people, right? They would give their matzah to the needy. And because we say in our Passover Seder, all who are hungry, come and eat, right? We open our door for Elijah, was to welcome the stranger. So the matzah is a symbol, not only of the haste that we made as we were leaving Egypt, right? But it is a symbol of tzedakah, that it is our responsibility to feed the poor, to give to the needy, right? And when we do this, when we give our tzedakah, it is through these acts that we bring redemption closer, which is the biggest miracle of them all, bigger than the earth that is covering the babies who are sprouting up like plants, a bigger miracle than the perseverance of the Israelites to procreate and to have more children, even under really tough circumstances. The greatest miracle is if we all come together, if we all work hard to create a world in which no one is suffering for a lack of food, where no one is suffering for a lack of shelter, where everyone is given what they need in order not only to survive, but to thrive in the world. That is when redemption comes. And that is what the matzah is supposed to remind us of, this idea that we can give. And when we, through giving, through tzedakah, through righteous giving, we can create a better world for everybody. And so that's our lesson for today on those three symbols, the parsley, the charoset, and the matzah. I hope you enjoyed, and everyone again have a Chag Sameach, a very happy Passover, and a Shabbat Shalom. Let's continue now with Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'tekedu la'liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yihye Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
'Tis a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, to hope, to dream, to be and oh to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, let us meditate on the meaning of life and loss, of love and death. We recall loved ones whom death has recently taken from us. We are in the Shiva period for the memory of our member, Elaine Miller, wife of Butch, proud mother, grandmother, sister, of course, friend to so many in our community. And so we send our condolences out to the Miller family on this tremendous loss. We're also in the Shloshim period for the memory of Joseph McMullen, son of Rick and Barbara and brother of Jennifer. We also think of those who died of the season in years past, those who have died in the past year. Maxine Roth, Howard Rubin, Sheldon Ginsberg, Larry Krug, Gene Weissman, Jacob Jack Moshbitz, Jerry Bender, Solomon Bloom, Max Schmid, Louis Lederer, Deborah Nader, Ted Ross, Helen Roth, Ruth Jean Oberlander, Mark Enfinger, Alan Beer, Judy Guy Strickland, and Carolee Pizzuti. And we think of those who died this season in the years past and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. We're observing the yahrzeit this week for Jackie Applefield, Eldeltraub Trudy Kleeman, Leon I. Cohen, Amelia Davis, Herb Dennenberg, Stephen Glass, Irving Gold, Nathan Goldman, Rosalind Greenberg, Ben Kalika, Charlotte D. Kirstein, William A. Klein, Ray Klinger, Charles Corrin, Nathan Kornbilt, Gabrielle Lieb, Milton Levin, Sonia Levin, Gloria Levin, Lillian Love, Hyman Nussman, Sally Nussbaum, Joseph Ramey, Claire Rose, Edith Rothstein, Arthur Ruttenberg, Kay Sanders, Erwin Schwartzberg, Phyllis Shapik, Herbert Silverstein, Frank Stark, Morris Steinberg, Martin Stern, Lunny B. Wallach, Gussie Weinstein, Samuel Weinstein, Douglas L. Weiss, Margot Werner, and Emily Wolfson. If you'd like to mention the name of a loved one, someone you are thinking of at this time, you can please enter their name in our chat box. The memories of all of them are with us. Griefs and sympathies are mingled as we praise God's name and affirm the holiness of memory. Continue now with the Mourner's Kaddish. Yid Gadal v'Yid Kadash Shemei Rabbah ba'alma devra cherutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael b'gala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam l'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei dekudesha barichu be'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabbah min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to Israel, and all of the world. As together we say, Amen. We're now going to invite our temple president to unmute and share a few announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, Temple B'nai Israel, Cantor, Rabbi, thank you for the service. Sarah, awesome job. Looking forward to hearing the full Monty at your bat mitzvah towards the end of this month. Just a couple of highlights from the e-blast, some important things that we have going on. Tomorrow at 10:30, we have the Passover Yizkor service, which is in conjunction with Temple Beth El. If you check your email, the Zoom link will be there. This Wednesday is going to be the first session of Curtains Up, which is a readers theater hosted by Cantor Orangel. It's at 2:00. Again, check your email for the Zoom link. Temple B'nai Israel has published our reopening guidelines. It's on our website. You certainly can take a look and see how we're moving forward with the temple reopening and getting back into the building in a slow pace. I would also like to mention that on Thursday, April 15th, is a celebration of Israel in song. It's a compilation of Cantor Orangel and her classmates from her cantorial studies. They're going to get together and do an online fundraiser concert. Now, the fundraising is going to be directly into It is the Siegel Cantorial Fund. So it's an $18 fee or donation to watch the concert. You can register online. That money is going to go into the account. So down the road, we're going to have bigger, better live concerts here at the temple. So hopefully everybody can participate in that. Again, check your e-blast. The registration form is in there. I'm looking forward to it. And you always learn something about someone when you see them with their classmates. So it should be a great event. Also, Road Kodesh is starting next week, Tuesday, April 13th. Again, you know where the information is. And our favorite annual meeting is coming up. I can't believe it's been a year, but April 30th, Friday before Shabbat, we're going to have an annual meeting. We're going to talk about everything we've done in the past that was wonderful this year. And we're going to talk about how we're going to move forward in the future. And of course, review our financial statements and get approval on our budget for next year. So I hope everybody can join us for that. And as always, thanks to everyone who's donated to the Torah Circle, who's donated their time and energy, and has participated in the Life and Legacy program, which helps Temple B'nai Israel secure our future. So Shabbat Shalom, happy Passover. And when you break the fast, enjoy your pizza.
All right, let's see some sawdust macaroons. If you smile, then they're better macaroons than I can find. All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. And I like it, a box of matzah for your oneg. It's an oneg Passover. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, and Chag Sameach, Shabbat Shalom.
Chag Sameach, everybody. We're going to have our breakout rooms for those who'd like to stay and chat a little bit. Should be getting an invitation shortly.
When did they leave? Do you want to say?
2 minutes. 2 minute break.
Press join.